I think one of the big reasons that our equipment designs are literally the way they are is because back in the day, Ryan Burton was out talking to crane operators, truck drivers. He was saying, what is your opinion? How could we make this product better, safer?
And welcome to episode 7 of the Steel and Dirt podcast, where we discuss everything related to heavy equipment and construction methods. And today we're sitting down with Gary Wiebe from Bigfoot Crane, based out of British Columbia. And Bigfoot Crane offers high-quality crane attachments, including concrete buckets, pallet forks, self-dumping bins, spreader bars, and crane baskets. Jerry, welcome to the Steel and Dirt podcast. We're glad to have you.
It's good to be here, Troy. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So give us a little background how you got into this business, and did it always start with cranes, or did you do something before cranes?
Well, when I was a real young fella, I went to trade school and learned to be a welder.
Wow.
And it used to work high up in the north, putting in valve stations and such on the pipelines. And that sort of foundational entry point, couple of years in trade school. I worked in the trade for about 3 years, and we ended up in British Columbia. And well, long story short, I got involved inside the heavy industrial recycling, scrap metal and scrap paper and things of that nature. And I did that for 20 years, up to and including being the COO of one of the more notable companies in the industry. And it was a good run. And then got out of that in 2000, between 2000 and 2005. I did a lot of work in the heavy pipelining industry. And then in 2005, I got connected with cranes and never stopped. And here we sit. One of the first people I met in the crane industry was a man named Ryan Burton, who was a salesman at Eagle West Cranes back in the day. And today he's my boss and business partner. He's the owner of Bigfoot Cranes. I'm the marketing manager. We have another owner named Cale Anderson. And then we have some really, really top service people and maintenance and mechanical people and inside sales people. And we started as a crane company, Troy, but we've evolved into what I would simply describe as a vertical material handling company. If you have something on a job site that needs to go up and down safely and repetitively over a long period of time, like in a construction project, we're the kind of people you want to know. We have cranes, we have hoists, we have all sizes, shapes, and descriptions. And then on top of that, we have kind of become experts at leveraging the hook. So if it has a hook and it needs to move something, boy, have we got some interesting attachments, whether it's in the construction, in the factory, or in a manufacturing facility. We've been moving these underhook accessories into all kinds of applications. A lot of them are fairly obvious. A concrete bucket goes to a concrete contractor. But that isn't the end of it. We've got all kinds of equipment in all kinds of interesting places. The size and scale of our equipment continues to interest people, and we constantly are getting custom orders, which then once we've had a few of those, we develop into new product lines like our new industrial series. And it's a thriving thing. We've been doing the underhook accessories nonstop since '06. And we've been with the Bosquero brand now. We just closed a 12-year deal, a two-year development process, and then 10 years supply and distribution. And we just re-signed with those folks for another 10 years. So yeah, I'd say we're in it for the long haul. We're very committed to things that are value driven in our company. And so we spend a lot of time now listening to customers and tuning our products to be in the field successful.
Bigfoot is a company, you guys are well known for the crane attachments, concrete buckets, the self-dumping bins. But before we jump into that, do you also rent cranes as well?
Oh, yes, sir. Um, I mean, hey, admittedly, our service range is not the biggest in the world. We're up here, Vancouver, Canada is literally 90 miles due north of Seattle, Washington. That's pretty much our trade corridor: British Columbia, Alberta, Washington State. Probably 90+% of our market is the Metro Vancouver market. But what's really interesting is that while we have a very small geographic footprint, we're constantly coming in somewhere between, I think, about 15th and 10th on the top crane companies in North America lists. Our fleet is very large, it's very diverse. And it, again, our rental fleet is built on a philosophy of what does the customer need, not what does the contractor, us, want to rent or sell. And so we actually have a very unique fleet in that it's all tailored through Ryan Burton's direction towards the actual needs of the contractor. You know, we've done some crazy things with cranes. If you've ever seen a self-erecting crane on the cover of a magazine or in a magazine, you probably know how unique a piece of equipment they are. And we just consistently help people out with solutions that they or the industry did not conceive were possible. I would like to say that that's really the hallmark of our company, is that we're actually on the prowl for trouble. Like, we like helping people with problems. We like unique challenges. Um, we've got a strong history of both innovation and exceeding on safety specifications. And when you can make those two things happen on a regular basis, yeah, you're going to get a lot of interested people. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a self-erecting crane or a hoist; they have about a 90% overlap with technical metrics, and so we're able to go out into the marketplace and just really focus hard on our core vision, which is vertical material handling. You know, being the best at it, providing tremendous depth and value, and listening. You know, we just constantly listen and listen and listen. Not everything that we are told is something we can do. You know, laws of physics and financial realities apply. But inside those two, yeah, we've done a tremendous amount of product innovation with our underhook product lines over the years to arrive at where we're at today.
Now, we're also seeing a lot of photos of you guys climbing up on tower cranes. What's going on there? Are you guys repairing cranes or erecting cranes or both, or what goes on with that?
Literally, if a crane needs it, we're qualified and certified to do it. We erect cranes, we repair cranes, we troubleshoot in the field cranes, we jump cranes and take them up and down as needed on a construction site. And then finally, when the project's over, we're certified to take them down and move them on. Back in the day, I think if you could walk, talk, and pull a wrench, you could be a crane mechanic. That isn't the case anymore. You know, up here, you need to have your trade certificates, your red seals, your, you know, journeyman for sure in place. And then what you'll find if you look at our crew is that we have people with multiple tickets. So we have, you know, electronics, electricians, millwrights predominantly, some heavy angle, you know, heavy lift mechanics. But then on top of that, you have to have significant training in high angle safety, high angle rescue, just a whole variety of advanced technical standards that are in place now. And we're not only meeting those standards, we actually have now reached the point where our company owns and operates a train operator academy. So we're not just hitting those marks, we're now certified to legally train other people on those certification points. Now, they still have to go out and get a third party government certified test. We don't do the testing, we just do the training. So, simply to say that, you know, we're looking at the industry as a complete holistic approach, whether it's an operator, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's an underhook attachment. We simply want to be regarded for the service we've given people as our ultimate benchmark of customer satisfaction.
Now, out of curiosity, do you ever get calls from other contractors who maybe started a setup on a crane, couldn't finish it? You guys had to swoop in and take care of it?
Yeah, it has happened. Sometimes, you know, other people are doing things. There's an incident, an accident, whatever. Again, our reputation is simply that if it's possible to do it safely, we're going to do it for you. And
Gotcha.
so, you know, at the end of the day, we get a lot of the calls from people. You know, they're concerned. Oh, you know, what's this going to take? What's this going to cost? And they have a bias. They have a preconceived idea based on all their previous experience in the marketplace. And sometimes that experience has told them to be very cautious and to, really take a look at what they're getting into. And so they're very tentative. And then once they've had the Bigfoot experience, it's over. They know exactly what they're getting. They know exactly what they're paying for. And look, I don't know about you folks, but I don't like paying taxes. I really don't. The only thing that really lets me sleep on the issue is this: I got my money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it, our proposition, again, just getting back to our motto, is legendary service, 2 words. That's our whole company mantra. It doesn't matter where you look inside our company, you find that challenge. Is it legendary internally and externally? And so everything we do with that set of lenses on. You and I are wearing glasses. Well, it's no different, right? We put quality control and best of human character values into the lens we operate through, and then we go about doing it. We stand, we deliver. Never going to tell somebody we're cheap. Never going to tell somebody we're too high. But I am going to say that our pricing is fair relative to us wanting to come back and service that customer again. And when they're done with the experience, they should want that experience again.
Mm-hmm.
We've been developing these products, but over time, as you've heard. But at the same time, we understand that these products need to serve the needs of the people using them, not the other way around. And so we're constantly listening and evolving. And as that ear hears, it hears 2 things: give me quality, give it to me fairly, and stand beside it. And so, literally, if you look at the message of our company to the marketplace, it's those same things. What do you need? How do we do it safely? How do we do it fairly? And how do we do it in such a way that it can be repeated over and over and over again? I think one of the big reasons that our equipment designs are literally the way they are is because back in the day, Ryan Burton was out talking to crane operators. He was out talking to truck drivers. He was saying, how does this really work? What is your opinion? How could we make this product better, safer? And he taught us how to go through that product development process so that now, several of us in the company are doing that. But at the same time, we're doing that in a way where no matter what we're doing, there's this depth of value. And I'll give you an example, getting back to your crane question, and I'll transition that value over into crane accessories. In the not so distant past, we were installing a tower crane in Alberta. So it's about 600 miles door to door from us, give or take, a little bit. But it's not exactly a walk across the street to get there. Well, here we are late in the day, and the crew calls in and it goes, "Hey, we got a problem with this particular part or component. It's not working, and we're pretty sure we need another one. How long till we get one?" And so our parts people are scrambling around and they're going, "Well, this could be a while. This is a serious problem. We got to get this crane running." Our operations director, Craig, he thinks about the situation. He goes, "No, we got this covered." He goes out into the field with a couple of mechanics, like into our yard, and pulls the parts off of a next to brand new crane and puts them in his pickup truck and just points that thing east. And he drives all night to get those parts to our guy, get them installed, and he's on his way home before the customer even know the next day started. Customer comes in, crane's working. Is that easy? No. No, it isn't. Is it legendary? Yeah, it is, right? And I'm not really the kind of guy who wants to sit here and blow that horn all day, but what I will say is that our commitment to this transcends all. And so it's not about what did it cost for that man to go there, what did we miles we put on the truck or fuel we burnt. It's about customer needs his crane running. It's about a commitment to legendary service, and it's a commitment we make to each other and a commitment we make to ourselves. And that flows through everything. And I'll switch us back over to accessories. When the World Freedom Tower was being built, and some other facilities we've done this at, but when the Freedom Tower was being built, the site of the 9/11 attacks, which is kind of a serious deal, they needed some extremely high quality safety equipment for a project, and we had it. Problem was, it was in Italy at our factory. And so the customer's going, "Hey, we need this to have our steel workers and our iron workers and our riggers safe putting up this new facility? And we go, yep, it's not a question. How do we get that bucket or that bin or whatever? Well, in this case, it was a very large 4-person man basket. About 4 cubic yards of space were involved. A day later, it's custom contracted as cargo onto a 747 delivered directly into New York to the contractor. And that piece of equipment was on the ground, I think, within 2 business days of being confirmed. Again, did we make a lot of money in that deal? Nah, probably didn't. Whatever profit was there, probably, and then some went into the airplane trip. And I think the customer paid for part of that. It's a while back, don't have all the facts in front of me. But what I do know is that that kind of commitment earns you a certain level of respect. And it's not a respect we're asking for. It's a respect that comes from 2 people that both know what they're doing, seeing each other perform and knowing it's going to go all right. That's a kind of street cred that I think we have. I think our ability to listen to our customers, to design innovation and true deep value into our products, adds a lot to the mix, and it adds a lot to the reputation and the brand in the marketplace. We want to be known as problem solvers. We want to deliver high quality equipment. I'll give you an example of that. As you know, most of North America is pretty cold. And so how do you offset finish destruction on a piece of equipment when paint, if it has so much of, a crack in it, water's going to get in there, it'll expand and contract. Before you know it, you got a big rust patch on a nice piece of equipment. We all know how this works. Well, every piece of Bosquero equipment is powder coated. It's just treated a completely different level and standard. So when you look at what you buy, it isn't just the price. It's what is the cost? What is the cost of inferior quality or inferior construction that you have to replace every year or two? And these are expensive pieces of equipment versus a fractionally higher piece of equipment that lasts 10 years. Well, and still counting. I mean, we have pieces of equipment that are pushing 15 years of service. And so what do you get when, if you have to buy those things over and over and over again, or you buy them once, you know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be in your favor to have better quality. It's going to be in your favor to have better service. So this is kind of, I guess I'm on a bit of a soapbox here, as they say, but this is really it. If you look at how we design or innovate inside our products, it's driven by our consumers. When you look at the unique attributes of our equipment, it's driven by our desire to throw extra value into the equation for our customers. And when those 2 things come together, well, here we are.
With everything that's been going on in the world over the last, I don't know, I want to say year and a half, 2 years, dealing with COVID and everything. And now we've got supply chain issues, and parts is one of the things that gets overlooked, I guess, a lot when it comes to it, whether it's cranes or anything else. It could be, getting in repair parts. Are you guys having a lot of struggles with that, or has it been pretty good, or how has that been lately for you?
Troy, it should be a problem, but because of a commitment we made a couple of years ago, it's just not that big a problem. And I'll tell you how it goes on. Let's go back to talk about cranes for a moment. So we have this big fleet of cranes, different brands, different makes and models. But literally, for every crane in our fleet, in our warehouse, we have a key pallet, service pallet. And on that pallet are duplicate motors, duplicate gearboxes, duplicate worm gears where required, sometimes winch heads, and all of the electronic components, inverters and freak drives and things of that nature, are all literally standing already in our warehouse, so that if one of our cranes breaks down, it's about bringing that part, putting it in and replacing the inventory, not waiting for the inventory to fix the crane. And so if you could imagine, 50 pallets of motors, well, that's not true. I mean, 2 or 3 of those cranes are identical. You only need 1 pallet per make or model, right? But we literally have an entire warehouse filled with this kind of equipment, whether it's a, electronic part, mechanical part, like I was saying, all those things. We just have it. We understand the price of downtime. We understand the tremendous trust that people are putting us into when they accept our business proposal and take a crane or a hoist from us. So we're not just selling something, we're literally using that opportunity to build our reputation in the marketplace. So some of these ideas are very innovative, others aren't so innovative, but they're maybe heavy on working capital, having all that money tied up in those parts. But then when you have a guy who's running a job site at $100,000 a day in downtime, he doesn't want to hear you don't have parts. He wants to hear what you're doing to get him his full day's production. And so we're just completely living in this space, and we've pre-invested in it. Just like our other types of equipment, we've done a lot of innovation with our underhook equipment as well. And we just want to constantly be working inside that space where, when somebody has a problem, we want that to be our first call, not is it easy. There's always great days, right? There's always days when the sun's shining and we're going to go play a round of golf or get a whitetail. That ain't today. Today's a day for hard work. Today's a day for being prepared and for standing up for your customer. So that's what we're building our future on. And I would say a little bit of innovation. We've been very innovative about our product development. We've developed a 5-in-1 concrete bucket. It's based on a standard C series Bosquero bucket. It comes in all the standard sizes. It's yellow, it's powder coated. But we've taken it further than that. So if you look in the concrete bucket market, there's just sort of your traditional flying concrete bucket. Then you've got a center discharge bucket. You may or may not have a lay down bucket or a side discharge bucket. And then on top of all of that, you're going to have other types of equipment, like, for instance, a different kind of concrete bucket that you can move around your job site with a lull or a big off-road forklift. We've actually converted all of that into one unit. It's literally 4 different discharge options in one purchase. And you do that with a standard concrete bucket and then a underplate or an attachment to an attachment to an attachment. And what that lets you do is then have center discharge, hose discharge, side chute discharge, and operate that piece of equipment all with a lull, and you still only bought one concrete bucket. So if you're going to go out and replace all of those options with concrete buckets, you're probably looking at least 3 concrete buckets. With us, it's 1. So yeah, those are pretty innovative things, but that is a innovative philosophy, not an innovative product. We've done the same thing with our spreader bar products. We've done the same thing, in fact, probably even more so, innovation with our man basket products related to operator and user safety. We, of course, have a very unique, no hands required, self-dumping bin that can carry tremendous amounts of either volume or weight on side construction sites now. And again, it's all just evolving towards being stronger, higher value, more user friendliness. And at the end of the day, when those things occur, people buy them and people keep buying them.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying our show, and if you are, we would appreciate it if you would help us out. Crush that like button, hit the subscribe, and be sure notifications are on so you'll be notified whenever we release a new podcast, guide, or compilation. We appreciate the support, and now let's get back to the show. You mentioned a little earlier about the skill of the tradesman and such as that. Now, you guys have something called Bigfoot Crane Academy. Tell us a little more about that.
Sure. We got into the crane operator training business, I think about 14 or 15. And it didn't take long till we had some really sharp guys wanting to be our trainers. In particular, a guy named Ralph Nothis, who's our academy manager. Just a brilliant, Red Seal operator, every type and class and job site scope that you can imagine he's been on multiple times. And he wanted to get a bit more stationary. So we hired him, put him in charge of our academy, and we've never looked back. We're now set up to train 6 different types of operators to the certification test level. And on top of that, we've now just started a new civil rigging training program to literally work with construction front enders on, rigging concrete pipe and construction vaults and safety trenches and all that kind of stuff. It's still an area where there's a lot of mistakes being made, a lot of poor rigging being used because people don't know literally what they have their hands on. And so we've just developed these programs. They're very pragmatic, and yet they meet and exceed all of the national standards and certifications. So in British Columbia, it's a state certification. Up here, you're certified here, and then you may or may not have reciprocity on your tickets with other provinces. Whereas some of our other stuff is like civil rigging is more non-provincial, so it could literally go coast to coast with one training program. So yeah, we've literally innovated the programs. We've literally gotten ourselves and our people certified to the level of being, train the trainer type people. And then we've diversified. So yeah, we do crane training. We do all, RT, AT, just if it moves, we're licensed to do it. I mean, you got to go through the right gradations. I don't want to misrepresent that. There's a lot of technical knowledge on the part of the operators being trained, and they have to prove that. But we have the facilities here. And when we put someone like, for instance, into this, we're not saying it's a bunch of theory. We're saying, okay, this is a real crane in our yard. We're going to go play with it. It's not a toy. Like we're talking about, some of the equipment we use for training is literally on a break from a job site, and we have other cranes that are stationary in the yard for training. So this is real world stuff with real programs, certification tests. And like I said, it's all part of sort of the greater good. When you have a person who knows how to operate properly, that of course also has a big impact on that client's uptime and of course on their machine downtime, because there's less abuse taking place with skilled operators than obviously with unskilled operators. So it's all part of the diversification. I mean, if you look at it, what we're really doing is we're offering a 1-800 service to the entire industry. If you need to go vertical, we don't care if you need a self-erector or the biggest tower crane LeBaire can bring. We're probably going to be able to help you out. If you need your people trained, if you need underhook accessories, if you need to kit up a gantry crane or a slider in a factory, or use some of our equipment custom edited or custom fabricated to become components in a production facility, which we've done many times. Those are all things we're able to do because we have the diversity of service that a client needs.
And you guys have some really impressive videos on YouTube. Want to encourage people to jump over and look at those as well. And it looks, I mean, you can tell by watching that you guys have a solid, experienced staff. Other contractors out there could definitely learn from that. What kind of advice could you give these guys, and kind of tell us about your experience of having such a good, solid team, what that does for you?
I'm a boomer. So look, I'm 5 years from the gate. Some of the young fellas in our video, they're 5 years from the gate. They're just getting into things.
Mm-hmm.
And the passion, not just to do the technical stuff, but to learn, to be on job sites, to experience it. Yeah, this is a company where people come for a culture, not a career. We're attracting people that are like-minded. We're attracting people that have those values I talked about earlier. And when you have a bunch of people with shared values and a shared belief, there's not much they can't do. And so, that's brought home literally on a daily, weekly, monthly basis around here. So, yeah, some of it's kind of interesting. Some of it's just damn hard work. But what I'm saying is it's also a mix of young people and new ideas coming into the business, and some of us older guys sort of holding a few lines on quality, but not on innovation. And so, we want to be as innovative as we can in our product and in our marketing and in our culture and our day-to-day operations, so long as it's not at the compromise of either safety or our values. And inside that, yeah, we create a lot of opportunity for young people, but it's also the right way to do things, at least in our opinion.
Let's talk a little about Hoist. You guys also rent and sell Hoist as well.
Yes, sir. Um, we're new to hoists. And man, if you think getting technically certified on cranes is a bit challenging at times, get into the hoist market. In our state, province here in British Columbia, we have Workmen's Compensation Board, what you'd call OSHA. And then there's another whole layer on top of that called Technical WorkSafe British Columbia. And these are the people that certify you to be things like an outdoor elevator mechanic. And the qualification process to just get into it is daunting. And when you're in it, the expectations, whatever you thought they were in the past, they're going to go up by two or three factors. Like it's really intense stuff. And yet we've, by having the right business connections and by having the right understandings of the marketplace, it's again another area we've been able to move people up and into, bring young people up and into, put people on all new career paths in our company. And at the same time, there's no secret. Look, we work with Fracco Equipment. They're a Quebec-based supplier. They sell all over North America, and it's really high quality equipment. I guarantee you, there's cheaper equipment out there. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just not sure there's better equipment out there.
Right. Right.
So, we're working with a global quality brand here. We're lucky in that it's made in Canada, which is an advantage. Fair enough. But that said, factory training, working with the factory on specialty applications and innovations, same philosophy with those folks is predominantly the same philosophy with our folks. So there's a very strong overlap, a very high quality commitment in terms of culture and in terms of technical integrity and so on. So yeah, we've done that, and again, co-working with that factory has brought us to an amazing position in the West Coast market here. We're pretty much bringing in that equipment as fast as we can put it on a job and growing a fleet, state of the art, brand new fleet. And so far, the only thing that's happened is people have come back to us on their second or third job and said, can we go faster? Can we go bigger? And the answer to both is yes. It's just about the money. If you can afford faster and you can afford bigger, we can deliver. But, to move an extra 1,000 pounds on a hoist is not a small thing. People think, oh, we go from A to B. Well, no, there's a lot going on in a hoist in terms of engineering, lateral metrics, wind shears. I mean, just you name it, it's going on. So it has to be taken very seriously in the field when we work with that equipment. We've been working on a building for 2 years. And in 2 years, all we've done is finally get the hoist to the top of the building. That's how big a building is. It's the second tallest building in Vancouver. So, we're really up there. We're pushing 500 feet with some of these projects, 50-story type buildings. And yeah, when you have the right equipment, you have the right quality, both in terms of the technology, the systems, the people, the safety factors. When all that comes together, it's kind of sweet to take a ride in an outdoor elevator up 500 feet and not worry about it. You can just enjoy the view. So yeah, we're getting a lot of those calls. And again, what's happening, let's be very clear. We're now reaching the point where people have had that experience and they're going, well, one was good. Can you do it again? We've done it again. They're going, okay, well, I got these 3 other projects, let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. Let's have a coffee about them. And that's kind of the stage that we're at in the marketplace right now, where people are starting to understand that they're actually getting what they're paying for, which is uptime. At the end of the day, you can count this any way you want. It's about being able to go safely vertical. Oh yeah, safely vertical, right? Dependability. And when those factors come together, people want that package. They want the dependability. They want a partner instead of a supplier.
I know we already hit on the 5-in-1 bucket and you explained how you're replacing 3 other buckets with one. Does that also come in different sizes that you can buy the 5-in-1, or is it just one size fits all?
If you look at our product lineup, we have that as a universal option on all our standard sizes. And so you can buy that bucket with or without that ring or attachment set, and you can buy it separately if you want it. So if you have an older bin, you can attach it. If you have a new bin, you can buy it. Like, oh, I didn't buy it today, but I can buy it tomorrow. We have a lot of guys, they might have 4 or 5 buckets, a couple of different sizes, and they only buy one ring option. because all they need is regular, they just need regular concrete distribution most of the time. But then when you need something specialized, or you need to run some aprons or something with a loader, it's easy because it's designed to do that. So it's all about being flexible inside the customer, right? And so, yeah, when you look at that concrete bucket designed that way, it is a bit unique, and sometimes people don't like unique. On the other hand, it is a real high quality product that does some really interesting things. And again, if you don't need those other things, why buy it? Go back to a standard bucket. But if you do want that bucket at some future point to be able to do more options for literally a small amount of extra money, then it's a pretty interesting thing to look at. You can buy 3 or 4 concrete buckets, same size, same shape. Now you're going to get some good deals because of the volume. And at the same time, you only need to buy 1 or 2 option kits to outfit them all. So that'd be a good example there. I'll share a couple others with you if you're interested, Troy.
Sure, absolutely.
We have a pretty interesting man basket. We have a 2-person and a 4-person man basket. In both cases, both man baskets are convertibles, which means that when you buy it, it comes with a hard top and everything it should, safety top. But in certain applications, the top is either unwanted or unneeded. So in our case, they can actually just be removed with some nuts and bolts. And all of a sudden now you bought 2 man baskets essentially for the price of 1. So that is pretty interesting. But then other things became interesting with man baskets. As we were talking more and more to operators said things like this. Running a man basket is hard because we want to put that man basket as close as we can to the wall. And then, that wall's kind of the eye mark, and the man basket's going up and down. It's kind of like just a fractional interim elevator kind of idea. But it's really dangerous because the operator can't have really good depth perception at that distance and range. So what we did is we actually put 6 little wheels, pivot trolley wheels, onto the man basket on one side. And now you can actually lean or put on that man basket to touch your building or your tank or whatever without having any structural or mechanical effect. Just have a touch point, and now you can ride up and down. It's such a simple little thing. It takes some engineering, but it's innovative. Another thing we saw was that people, when they go up, by nature, you put out your hands and you hold the handrail. Well, if you don't have those little wheels, sort of skid barrier on your man basket, the first thing that's going to get rubbed off is your fingers. So we put a parallel rail just 3 inches back from the main rail. And so when you're in the man basket and you reach out and you grab the handbar, you are grabbing a safety bar. You're not grabbing the handrail. Just a small thing extra. Another thing with our 4-person basket, on top of being convertible by separating the top and the bottom, as they see, another thing that's really interesting is we installed into our man basket side ramps. So it's a 4-person man basket in one configuration. It's 2 people and a ramp in another configuration, and in a third, really just reproduction of the second one, it could also be 2 people and a stretcher. And now you have a flying first aid station. And we actually sell our 4-person man basket as what we call an ERP, an emergency rescue platform. It comes in white. The only difference between yellow, or between a standard 4-person basket and a white one, is the color. It's literally the same equipment. It's the same price point. And the difference, though, is that when you buy the white one, if you want, you can completely outkit that purchase with one of 3 levels of safety equipment. Everything from as simple as a number 2 bag, like a crash bag, up to and including a full-on industrial first aid setup with defibrillators, oxygen, rolling stretchers, lighting systems, you name it, we've done it.
Wow.
We've also sold them with little frames that let you put a tarpaulin cover over it, making it look more like a vaulted tent, and then it becomes a flying first aid station on job sites. So things of that nature, all innovations inside that one product line.
And we also touched a little on the self-dumping bins. You had mentioned the safety aspects with those. What are some of the applications those are used for, and what's the uniqueness of the safety?
Its purpose. Let's talk about its higher level purpose. Its higher level purpose is material handling. What the material is irrelevant to the bin. Some days it's light, fluffy garbage. The next day it's scrap wood. The next day somebody's moving gravel with it. We recently did a big project with a company here in Canada, moved 30,000 cubic yards of caisson fill with it, as opposed to using high hose and excavators and all that kind of stuff. Instead, they put one excavator in the hole and then had the hole serviced with a self dumping bin and a crane. Very fast, faster, I think, than average, super high capacity lifts. And of course, there's only one diesel footprint. So it's really good for the environment as well, because now we're talking about a small excavator versus two or three really large excavators. And of course, in the static, the crane only runs on its donkey engine for generating electricity. So all around, a tremendous improvement in footprint while still having really high service factors. Another little thing, like here, I'll give you a little interesting thing. A lot of people like our self-dumping bins, the small ones, for roofing contractors, for cleaning up garbage. But then they realize, well, if we got to put pea gravel down, and so all of a sudden, people are using it for roofing distribution at the commercial level, like flat top tar and gravel type roofs. And it's become a distribution tool. We also have a clamshell bucket that's really good as a spreader tool. You can put 3 yards gravel in it, give it a 2-inch opening, and just start, slewing with your crane and distributing that so much faster than any labor could. Those would all be factors. But the other factor is, what if you want to put that bin down somewhere on a roof? Well, if it's a traditional type of bin with skid rails on the bottom or a 4-point drop, like where it's touching on the ground, you can't do that on a roof because you're going to punch through the membranes. But our bins are all flat bottom. And they're flat bottom for a reason, because it distributes all the weight equitably over the footprint of the bin. Instead of creating 4 really heavy load points, it creates one big flat surface cover. And that, of course, means that you can do more with your bin, more applications, more operations, more innovations. We've had self-dumping bins on long line helicopters cleaning up environmental problems in mountainscapes. We've had self-dumping bins used on some of the tallest and heaviest construction projects in Canada. Again, it's really simple. In one configuration, it's a standing garbage bin. In another configuration, it flies under your crane and it dumps without a human being getting into the dumpster. So you know what it's like now. You have a traditional garbage bin. It's going to get flown out of wherever its resting spot is on 4 chain picks going into a bridle, going onto a crane hook. So someone has to rig it. Someone then has to go to the garbage bin and get in the garbage bin to unrig it halfway, dump it, then meet the bin again on the other side of the garbage bin, reconnect those points and fly it away. With our system, the bin shows up, the operator dumps it from the cab, and he takes it back and puts it down where he got it from, and he's just done it by himself. And in fact, you're moving your product around your job site 4 or 5 times faster. So you're getting tremendous financial value. At the same time, you're getting tremendous safety value.
I think we hit on most of the attachments. I'm sure there's others. I know you had mentioned earlier there were what type of bar was it, where the bar was adjustable and you didn't have to buy the different sizes you could add on to it?
Well, look, a spreader bar is pretty simple. It's an engineered piece of steel of a certain length, rated and certified to pick a certain weight with rigging. So it's a bar. Typically, the bar to hook ratio is 60 degrees, and then you've got whatever's coming out underneath it that you need to pick up, and the spreader bar acts to hold those points of contact in place as you lift that product. It's pretty straightforward. Well, it is and it isn't pretty straightforward, because what happens is you end up having to own a lot of spreader bars. A 4-foot spreader bar ain't a 6-foot spreader bar, and a 6-foot spreader bar isn't a 12-foot spreader bar, and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we took a really serious look at that, and we realized that inside the industry, there already was an A and a B bar that nested together, okay, different lengths. Mm-hmm. And we looked at that and we went, that's a pretty good innovation, but it really didn't go where it could have gone. We're going, okay, well, look, on a day-to-day basis, the guy probably needs 2 spreader bars covering 8 feet. But every that's pretty much like all the time. But then every so often he needs 12 feet or 16 feet. Well, now on that one day, he can just take another spreader bar from another truck and interlock them together. So you've outfitted, say, 4 trucks with standard equipment. All 4 trucks now could come together on one of the trucks, the spreader bars, and you have this ability to mix and match to do all kinds of different configurations inside. We have a 110 series, we have a 35-ton series, and a 15-ton series. And this ability to come together, to subtract, to create offsets, or to create equal distribution points, it's, well, I've had people tell me outright they're not impressed, but those are the spreader bar people. Again, they're the concrete people want to sell you lots of buckets, and the spreader bar people want you to buy lots of spreader bars. What they don't want is innovation that makes cost value in favor of the client. They, of course, want the client to have the proper safe equipment, but there isn't a lot of innovation in favor of the user. It's mostly innovation in favor of the seller. So again, we've done these things based on our own real world experience, saying, well, we'd kind of like it if it worked like this or that, and we can't seem to buy it, so we may as well build it. And then we just started getting innovative, and then we found a factory that wanted to be innovative with us. Here we are.
Is there anything else that we may have skipped over that you can think of attachment wise that you want to pass along, or anything else we could cover today?
I'll give you a really simple example that everyone can imagine very quickly. Everything on a factory floor is laid out and measured by your ability to access it with a forklift. And so, just like our streets are full, like our towns, our cities are full of roads to accommodate cars, so are factories. Well, what happens if the transportation no longer requires a forklift? Now, you're not only getting time and motion back, but you're actually getting, you could get up to 15, 20% of your floor space back, depending on how you set things up. And considering what it costs these days to get that kind of floor space, anything you can do to innovate in your factory that makes you both safer and more efficient as an operator has got to be a value. So those would be the kinds of things, where we're getting more and more attention to detail. The next line of products that we're developing is some of the same products, but that they will be fully remote controlled, wirelessly remote controlled equipment. And that'll be coming out in the next few years too. It's the same equipment, just operated, from different places, like concrete buckets, so you can operate way far away from you and things of that nature. Those are the next pieces.
Jerry, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I've learned a lot. I know our viewers and listeners will learn a lot from this, and we really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome, Troy. Stay safe, and everybody out there listening to this, please just take an extra 2 seconds and go home tonight.
That's it. Thanks so much.